have this presentation tomorrow, and I'm so stressed out about it. So I have to go home, put it together, and be up till like 5 in the morning.
My name is Janine Saleem, and I'm an interior design student here at FIT. I'm from Brooklyn. I was born there, raised there. I lived in Jerusalem for about 10 years of my life, and we came back here.
My name is Karen Kalik. I'm in fashion design, second semester. I was born in Pakistan, but I came here when I was about like 3 months. So I grew up in Virginia, and I moved to New York for school.
My name is Samia Iqbal, and I'm doing my production management, and it's a bachelor right now.
My name is Stephanie Algani, and I'm also doing production management in the bachelor's program.
The hijab comes from a couple verses in the Quran. In particular, Surah An-Nur, which is verse 24, 30, and 31. When you take a look at the Quran, which Muslims believe to be the embodiment of the Word of God, God is commanding, first he speaks to the believing men, so believing Muslim men, and then he speaks to women. And his first address to men is to lower their gaze and to guard their modesty. The other part of the verse is geared towards women, and it talks about women taking the khimar, which is an Arabic word for head covering, and in pre-Islamic times, they would actually wear the headscarf or the head covering flipped to the back of their shoulders. And in this verse, God commands them to take the cover and to wrap it and to cover their bosom so as to cover their chest. Most Islamic scholars agree that the only parts of a woman's body that can be shown are her hands and her face. It's meant to guard your modesty.
Like hijabis, that's what we're basically called when we wear hijab. We started like basically before it used to be just black and white or navy, more of like the dull colors, and recently, for the past like 2-3 years, H&M providing us with awesome scarves. We started like matching and wearing colors and matching them to our fashion, making them more fashionable.
I like to wear lighter colors because my skin's light. So.
I usually wear my white one as an everyday thing. It's just easy to throw on in the morning. It goes with everything. But usually for an event, for professional presentations, I'll go with a different color, I'll go with a different style. For weddings especially, I dress it up, something sparkly, something gold.
I wear different colors. Bright, light, anything, I go with it. And I wear with a lot of layers also.
They usually match their scarves with their shoes and handbags. Something different that we add to hijabi fashion is prints.
This is the Stephanie style.
I guess the way I used to do it, it was just too boring.
My name is Sada Musa, and I graduated with pattern making and fashion design. I realized there was a niche market for covered people, whether you're Muslim, Christian, or Jew. Try to have all my girls covered for every single season. I thought that would be like a really good challenge for me. I think American Muslims are trying to define our own selves here in this country. You know, you can be very American and still take from your heritage, because that is American. You define your own selves.
Usually we wear a cap. It's called the undercap. If you have like silky hair or short hair, you want to like pull your hair back, and then we hold it tight. It's cozy. We basically just keep wrapping it around so it ends the edge. And then we take a pin and you basically just stick it in so it doesn't loosen. That's it. It's really easy.
I think a lot of people think that there's some big distinction between fashion and real clothes. You know, that blue jeans or business suits or religious clothing are outside of fashion. In fact, the fashion system really incorporates a much wider variety of clothes than we think. And of course, religious clothes such as hijab can be part of the fashion system. In fact, in a way, it's hard to see them as being ever outside of the fashion system. If you go back to the medieval period in Western Europe, you find that Christian women were supposed to be covering their heads, hence all of the various head cloths. But of course, they become fashionized, and you get very elaborate wimples and sort of horn-shaped structures that you have the cloth hanging over it. And then preachers will become very sort of distracted and disturbed and say that these were supposed to be modest, but in fact they become way too fashionable. So the movement towards bringing specifically modest or religious clothes into fashion is something which has a long history.
When did you first start wearing head covering?
When I was in 2nd grade, I was just looking up to my sister and my mom because they wear it. So I was just like, oh, I want to do that too. But I mean, my hair would be all sticking out. It would be like in the back of my head. But And then I would take it off and on, you know, when we'd go on field trips, I would have it off. Like when we'd go to the playground, I'd have it off. But it was just a thing I was getting to develop. And then by the time I got to 7th grade, I would say I really started wearing it and started understanding it.
Yeah, I converted 4 years ago when I met my husband. I worked at Bergdorf's, and they kind of had a policy, no head scarves. So my new job that I started after that, I work at Terry John. There was other girls in my office wearing their scarves. So right away, the second day I was there, my scarf, like, oh yeah, I have a job that, like, I don't feel like I'm pushing any limits or anything, and I just started wearing my hijab there all the time, but for the past 2 years.
The reason why I was wearing it is because my parents told me, and also it was just because of my society. In Pakistan, you know, every girl wear it. They would go out of house, they're fully covered. Not too long ago, I started looking into my religion because I was very close to kind of decided to take off my hijab. So I started looking into Islam, what it really, like, you know, what is the role of the woman? Why does she need to cover it? And it started to make sense. It wasn't just like, you know, I was starting to agree with it. Like, I argued myself with the questions, and I started listening to lectures and started reading the books, and it really made sense, and it made my belief even more stronger. So I decided to keep it on, and I was really glad that I didn't took it off.
You're supposed to really start covering when you hit puberty for girls, and I just never thought I would wear it. I was like totally opposed to it, actually. I thought, you know, like I wouldn't wear it until I got really, really old. Like there was no point in wearing it. The only people I saw wearing it were my grandma and, you know, some older women that I knew. And I think when I traveled overseas, I went to Palestine, which is current-day Israel. And I went there, and I really, really got to see the women and how they were. And I was like, wow, these women are not oppressed. You know, they love the religion. They love wearing it, and they do it for God.
The one thing we have to remember is that Islam is not monolithic. So when we take a look at Muslim women, let's say in Saudi Arabia or Iran, we're taking a look at women that wear the shadur or the abaya, which is the black covering, which covers pretty much the entire body. It's an outer garment. These are imposed by their governments. When you take a look at Muslim women in North Africa, they are wearing hijab that is mainly towards the back and put in the back as a bun. When we take a look at hijab in Southeast Asia or Pakistan or India, some Muslim women wear a lot more bright colors, orange, pinks, or reds, and these are coverings that show the hair but are above or over the head, but you still see the hair. I mean, I know it's cliche to say, but culture does play a big role in how Islam is played out.
It's not your parents' duty they're not forcing you. They can't even force you anything to do something, because it is individual responsibility, not because of enforcement.
I'm generally a very modest person, so I think the scarf represents that. It represents the fact that I want to walk into a room and be seen as a person, not as a woman or an object or anything else. I want to walk into a room and be taken seriously as a person, first and foremost. And my clothing style is much the same way. I want to walk into a room, dress modestly, fashionably but modestly. I've known friends who've actually adopted it and began wearing it on days they didn't feel like doing their hair. It's convenient, and it's also, I like it when people ask about it. I like to, explain it. I love to teach people about it, and especially to put down the misunderstandings.